everyone. My name is Todd Landrum. They also call me Coach Landrum. I'm a longtime college basketball coach, been in the game all my life, and now I teach elementary PE at Palmetto Elementary School. So a little shout out to all my Tigers out there. With me today is my producer, Kennedy Landrum, and my director, Arabella Jordan Landrum. Let's remember that name, Jordan. Today's book is about Michael Jordan, who's considered the greatest basketball player of all time, played for the University of North Carolina and the Chicago Bulls. Maybe you've seen Air Jordan, this logo on shirts and socks and pants and sweatshirts, hats all over the country. That's Air Jordan because he would fly through the air and dunk. But we're going to find out a little bit today about Michael Jordan and how he got started. The greatest basketball player that ever lived. Although I'm from Akron, Ohio, and my vote goes to LeBron James. But Michael was the greatest. Today's title is Salt in His Shoes. This is a story about Michael Jordan and his pursuit of a dream. It was written by his mother and his sister, which is going to be pretty interesting. Let's get started. Michael loved to play basketball. Every Saturday he followed his older brothers Larry and Ronnie to the park, hoping that they would let him play. And if one of the guys who usually played with them didn't show, they always did. They would let him play. But there was one problem. His name was Mark, and he was the tallest boy on the court. "What's the matter, Mikey? Too short?" Mark flapped his arms in Michael's face. "Over here," shouted Larry, Michael's brother. But when Michael threw the ball, Mark's long arms came out of nowhere and knocked the ball away. It flew into the hands of a player on Mark's team. He made the basket, and the game was over just like that. There's Big Mark guarding our hero, Michael. He is a big dude. "I am really sorry, guys. If I were taller, that wouldn't have happened." All the way home, Michael apologized, even though no one was mad at him. His oldest brother, Ronnie, tried to cheer him up. I mean, that's what older brothers and sisters should do. "Look, little brother, you played good today. Don't worry, we'll win the next time." So here's Michael and his brothers walking home from playing basketball outside in Wilmington, North Carolina, near the Atlantic Ocean.
When they got home, Michael went into the kitchen where Mama was cooking dinner. He was still disappointed, and she could tell. "You guys lost again today, huh?" Michael nodded. He sat quietly for a minute, then said, "Mama, how can I grow taller?" Now, Mama knew the answer to a lot of questions, but this was a tough one. She thought for a moment as she sprinkled salt and pepper on the chicken she was making for dinner. Then she smiled, looked at Michael, and said, "Salt." "Salt?" Michael looked at his mama. "Salt in your shoes. We'll put salt in your shoes and say a prayer every night. Before you know it, you'll be taller," she replied.
So here's Michael's mother telling him in the kitchen that if he put salt in his shoes, he would get taller. I don't know about this. We got to find out more about this.
"Salt in my shoes," Michael said quietly to himself. Surely Mama was teasing. He sat staring out of the window, trying to figure out how salt was going to help him grow. He noticed the rose bushes outside of Mama's garden. They had grown high along the fence, and roses of all colors were blooming on the vines. He thought to himself, "I remember when Mama first planted those bushes." Michael's face lit up. If Mama knows how to make those rose bushes grow taller, then maybe she's right. Maybe salt in my shoes really will help me grow.
So Michael's thinking if his mom can make the roses grow, then she must know something about this salt that'll make him grow. I guess she's comparing him to like a bush or flower. Let's see. Growing more excited, Michael twirled around and started asking lots of questions. "Mama, how long will it take? How tall do you think I'll get?" Smiling, Mama sat down next to him and explained, "In order for this to work, the most important things you have to do is you have to be patient. It takes time. And listen to what I tell you and say your prayers every night." Listening carefully, Michael shook his head. "Okay, Mama, I'll be patient, But what does saying my prayers have to do with it? Everything, Mama replied. And she hugged him. Now go wash up and tell your brothers and sisters to get ready for dinner. Michael dashed out of the kitchen, almost knocking over his father, who was walking in. What's he up to now? Asked Daddy. Oh, the usual, laughed Mama, chasing a dream.
Later, during dinner, Mama noticed that Michael was barely eating anything. He was already daydreaming about being taller. Michael, first things first, you won't grow if you don't eat, especially your vegetables, Mama said. But I'm not really hungry, he said. Raising her eyebrows, Mama gave him a stern look. Slowly, Michael picked up his fork and began to eat. Minutes later, his plate was clean and he was asking for more. That evening at bedtime, Michael set his favorite game shoes on the floor next to the growth chart hanging on the wall. Then he put on his pajamas, said his prayers, and jumped into bed.
Okay, there they are eating dinner, like talking at dinner. And then this is the growth chart. These two guys and their brother have one in the house there because they're always trying to see if they're growing. Maybe after reading this book, we'll put some salt in their shoes.
When Mama came in, Michael was fast asleep. By the look on his face, she could tell he was already playing basketball in his dreams. Standing by his bed, Mama sprinkled salt in his juice. Then she sprayed quietly over him as she did all her children.
So Mama snuck into the room and put some salt in his shoes. Maybe she really believes this. I don't know. But Michael was dreaming about basketball. This is Michael's mama. Dear God, please help Michael to be the best he can be and to give his best at all he does. That's pretty important, giving your best. And Lord, could you please make him just a little bit taller tomorrow than he is today? Thank you. Amen. After that night, Michael wore his favorite game shoes everywhere he went, even to church. And he stopped going to the park with his brothers on Saturdays. Instead, he stayed home and practiced. He wanted to grow a few more inches before he went to the park. So Michael was going to practice so that when he did get taller, he would be ready when he went to the park to play.
After 2 months of practicing and waiting patiently and praying, Michael stood next to the growth chart on his wall. Nothing. He hadn't grown an inch. He was disappointed, but he did not stop believing. I've just got to give it time like Mama said, Michael thought to himself, and that's what he did. 2 more months of practicing went by and still nothing. Now Michael was becoming a little sad. Not only had he not grown 1 inch, but he also missed playing basketball with Larry and Ronnie. About the only thing he didn't miss was being picked on by Mark. When the next Saturday came, his brothers tried to get Michael to go with them to the park, but he wouldn't budge. Mama had began to worry. When she saw Michael sitting alone on the steps, she said to Daddy, maybe you should go out and talk to him.
Okay, Michael's measuring himself. He's hoping to grow, but he's getting a little bit sad because it's not working. But what Michael doesn't understand is all that practice is what's going to make him better.
So Daddy went out and sat with Michael. What's wrong, son? You haven't gone to the park with your brothers for a while now. Are you okay? Michael didn't say anything at first. Then he looked at Daddy and said, I thought I would at least be a few inches taller by now. I did everything Mama told me to do, but nothing's happened. Michael, why do you want to be taller? Daddy asked. If I were taller, I'd be a great player and I could help our team win, Michael answered. But you are a great player, son, and you already have everything it takes to be a winner, right? And here, Daddy tapped Michael on his chest. Being taller may help you play a little better, but not as much as practice. Determination and giving your best will. Those are the things that make you a real winner. Michael thought about what Daddy said for a minute. Then suddenly he jumped up and took off. Where are you going? Daddy yelled after
There goes Michael. He's heading to the park. And remember what his dad said. It's not how tall that you are, it's how hard you work and how much you prepare. That's what determines how good you can be. And that's in everything. School, sports, music, everything. When Michael reached the park, the game had started. He sat on the bench hoping we'd get a chance to play. And he did. The game was almost over and the score was tied when John, one of the guys out on the court, fell and hurt himself. This was Michael's chance. Michael joined his team in the huddle as they gathered on the sideline for a timeout. So they were kind of deciding what they were going to do to try to win the game. Okay, the game is tied. All we need is 1 point. Who wants to take the shot, Ronnie asked. He looked into Michael's direction. Feeling more confident than ever, Michael said, I'll do it. So now Michael knew he had practiced really hard and he could do this. When the whistle blew and the game began again, Mark began to pick on Michael as usual. Remember Mark, the bully? Still trying to play with the big boys, huh? Mark taunted, but Michael paid him no attention. Taller or not, he had been practicing, and today he was determined to win. Larry threw the ball inbounds to Michael. Michael caught it, bounced it for a moment, and then took off running. I hope he was still dribbling, though, so it was legal, yeah.
As he approached Mark, Michael shifted to his right. Mark followed, but while he was still shifting, Michael spun to his left. He stepped behind Mark and shot. The ball arced far above his opponent's hands and fell silently into the hoop. 2 points. The game was over. Michael's team had won. It was just as Michael had dreamed. When he realized what he had done, Michael took off running and didn't stop until he had reached home.
Bursting through the door, he shouted, I did it, Daddy, I did it. I shot right over the tall guy's head and we won the game. Running in behind him, Ronnie and Larry joined the celebration. That's right, little brother, you did it. You won the game for us. Michael remembered the look that Ronnie gave him during the last time out of the game and said, no, we won the game, but I was the star. They all laughed. After that day, Mama stopped putting salt in Michael's shoes, but Michael did not stop being patient and working hard and praying.
So that must be what made Michael grow to be a 6'6" basketball superstar. Here's him with his family coming through the door. He's all excited. And then this is what we call Air Jordan. Okay, like remember I showed you the ball flying through the air and dunking. Michael Jordan, who I coached against when I was at Ohio State. They beat us in the NCAA tournament. I saw Michael practice and play because a good friend of mine was an assistant coach on Michael's Chicago Bulls teams. Now Michael Jordan owns an NBA team. He owns his own team, and he just gave $100 million to educate and help with Black Lives Matter. So here's a man who's done some really good things. And remember, it all started putting a little salt in his shoes. Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, I'd like to thank our producer, Kennedy Landrum, who will be in the 2nd grade next year, and our director, Arabella Jordan Landrum, who will be in the 5th grade.